Get on the train before it leaves the station. The truth train is coming, gonna run them down, run them down.
Hello there, folks. How you doing? We're here today with the next segment in the Daniel Holtzclaw kind of coverage here. So today we're going to be talking about Sherri Ellis, but before we get to that, I wanted to, let the Holtzclaw, support community know that like today we had, it was kind of over the last 2 days because it started in Australia, but we had the worldwide online rally for Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. It was amazing. It was great. It started out in Australia at 11 o'clock, between 11 o'clock and 4 a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. On Saturday in Australia, which turns out, because Australia is about a day ahead of us, it ended up being basically on Friday night that happened. And then, there was a 4-hour gap in between the Australian leg of it and the UK leg. And then we had Jane Sharper Than a Pencil on her channel, and also Paul Capaldi there in the UK and Scotland, and they split it between their two channels. The UK leg of 5 hours that went between 11 p.m. And 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. UK time, and then there was an hour gap in between that, and then the US leg started. That was all today. This is Saturday when I'm speaking to you, and so at between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. in the U.S. Central Standard Time, we were having our broadcast, which started with Linda K. Listening over on her channel and ended up over on my channel, Eric Cozy, I'm Making a Murderer, to close it out. It was a lot of fun, a lot of support, a lot of people showing up, a lot of people sent in videos and things to talk about and to voice their support, and so all kinds of various types of support and love that came in for Stephen and Brendan. So these events are, I think, becoming something that are going to be happening a lot, with the way that technology is, and particularly during COVID-19, because this year we had to hold the rally online because of COVID-19, and we weren't able to go. Otherwise I would have been on a plane and been in Wisconsin this weekend, along with many others. But with COVID-19, we have been really heavily relying on online events until we can actually go and meet in person again. So that's what we're doing, and after this year's rally, we're thinking about making the online rally part of the actual physical rally next year. If Stephen and Brendan haven't, if we're not celebrating their release day by that point, we're looking to have the physical rally and the online rallies kind of work together now after this year of having the situation with COVID-19. So we will then be able to create greater support that way, because those of us on the ground there in Manitowoc will be able to feed videos and things to the people that are going live and broadcasting for everybody else who can't be there. So it's that's where we're headed with that. So these are the things that are happening, and hopefully I'm hoping to find some other YouTubers out there, which we found out there's going to be 2 today, on the first leg of the US leg, or the first part of the US leg over on Linda's channel. Linda and Rhonda both basically said they're getting together and they're going to start covering Daniel Holtzclaw as well. So hopefully there's some other YouTubers out there who are also covering Daniel Holtzclaw who might want to potentially link up and do some kind of an online streaming event for Daniel. But that's kind of what I was thinking. My heart goes out to Daniel and his family, particularly Ma and Pa Holtzclaw. I call him Ma and Pa Holtzclaw because I'm filled with the same gut-wrenching, sinking feeling in my stomach because of what they're having to endure. And they're not, like Ma and Pa Avery, they're getting on, and when they should be thinking about retirement, they should be at that point, where they're thinking about retirement in their golden years. they're, like Daniel's dad, I found out from the Michelle Malkin special, is working extra shifts and stuff because paying to fund Daniel's defense and things like that just really did a number on them. I mean, it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. And when you continue to look at the evidence in this case and everything, it's just absolutely horrible. So I have tremendous sympathy for Ma and Pa Holtzclaw and Jenny. She was also in the special. Same way I have for Ma and Pa Davis with the Scott Davis case in Georgia. For those of you in the Holtzclaw community who would like to know more about that, let me know. I'll post my Scott Davis playlist in the Holtzclaw Facebook group. But that's another tragic one. I have a great amount of sympathy for Ma and Pa Davis. Again, continuing to get older while their sons are in prison wrongfully. And with Scott Davis, it's really just really it makes me angry, the whole thing. Everything about that case and everything about it just makes me angry. So wrongful convictions are a real big thing that's part of what I do. And what we have coming up in October, and perhaps we can have some of the Holtzclaw community to be involved in this, seeing as it's a pretty obvious wrongful conviction. But we're going to be having about the same weekend as Wrongful Conviction Day, which is October 2nd, on a Friday. That weekend, we're looking to have maybe about a 24-hour live streaming event specifically for wrongful convictions and creating awareness for them. Now, the Innocence Projects are going to have their own things going that weekend and stuff, so there's probably going to be a lot of overlap and competition and that type of thing. But we want to just go ahead and do our best to try to get, some more people out there educated about wrongful convictions, how they happen, why they happen, and that sort of thing, just to get it on people's radar. Because I can't say it enough. I mean, I've had Ricky Kidd, exoneree Ricky Kidd, on my channel, and I mean, even he said, back before this happened to him, he didn't think wrongful convictions happened. He figured because he hadn't done this thing that eventually it was all going to work out. He had no idea that he was going to end up wrongfully convicted. I mean, eventually he got it straightened out after 22 years. I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. But he says, back then he didn't know. Most people don't. And I hear a lot of the sentiment coming out of, the Holtzclaw family and stuff, where even Daniel himself, where they had no idea that this could happen. And they were totally shocked to see OKCPD turning on its own the way it did. And I mean, it was an eye-opener for them. So we're going to be having that wrongful conviction weekend. Perhaps some of the Daniel Holtzclaw community will want to help us with that and take part in that, come on as guests. People that know the case very well can come on and be part of a panel where we can discuss Daniel's case at one point during that streaming event. So yeah, anyways, let me know what you guys all feel about that. So aside from the sympathy that I feel for, obviously, the Holtzclaw and the Averys and the Davises, I also feel tremendous sympathy for the victims and their families. And so that ends up being, for in the Scott Davis case, that would be the Coffins, who lost their son, David Jr. With the Averys, obviously, that's the Halbach family. And I have tremendous sympathy for the Halbach family as well. And with the Holtzclaw case, to me, that's really these women. It's really these women who were essentially kind of corralled and kind of prodded into, offering a narrative they could use. It's pretty obvious. You guys saw my last video. I showed where we've now reached the point where the original two accusers who came forward without any prodding from any officers or anybody else. They came forward, and there were obvious problems in their stories. Okay, so you had obvious issues with the first two stories from the women who came forward on their own, and there was, things that you could prove weren't true in those stories. So, and as I said in my last video, that should have been the point where the witch hunt stopped, because they should have went, oh wait, this is not looking as solid as maybe we thought it was going to be, because it wasn't. They literally, Rocky had to start manipulating Terry Morris to get her to offer a story that was in line with what he wanted. And it was because she was locked up and hoping to get something out of it. Particularly, she was talking about wanting to be able to get into the rehab thing that she wanted to get into. And she was looking for help with that. So there's obvious problems, okay? It's like I've said, the way that when they broke Terry Morris from her original narrative, okay, which may have been based in truth, but it wouldn't have been Daniel on the May 21st. But it may have been, that original story may have been truthful or based in truth. But when they break her from that story, like Brendan, when they break him from his original story, you guys may have heard Dr. Silkman over on the rally this weekend talking a lot about this, but when they break Brendan from his story, he never tells the same story ever again. He's manipulated by the investigators and stuff, and then just never ever tells the same story again, until he eventually recants all that crap that the investigators painfully extracted. So he eventually recants that and goes back to telling his original story, the one that he tells with consistency, because he's actually telling it from memory, right? And that's what happened with Terry Morris. Her original story was, I believe there may be truth in it. In fact, you'll find out today from what we're going to be seeing today with Sherri Ellis that there's maybe a possibility that there was, and maybe still is, could still be possibly, an officer at OKCPD that's, possibly getting up to this kind of hijinks. Because I think some of these ladies are describing an actual event. But it just wasn't with Daniel. Okay? The investigators had to start pushing and prodding and getting these ladies to change their statements a bit to fit, so that it would fit like an area where Daniel was, according to his AVL and things like that. So it becomes obvious that they're specifically manipulating it. And then you got to always keep in mind, folks, that right now we're at the point where they create the list. Okay? This is the first person basically coming off of the list, Sherri Ellis, where they went and found women that Daniel had contact with in the recent past or whatever, right? Who were prostitutes, African American, and drug convictions. Okay, that's what they chose. The first victim, Janie Liggins, had no drug convictions and was, as far as anybody knows, was not a prostitute. But yet this is a profile they picked, and then they made a list of all these women that fit that profile that Daniel had contact with in the recent past, and started going to those women and doing what you're going to see and hear. Well, you're not going to see it, but you're going to hear it today. What you're going to hear, okay, is them. Right now you're going to see what I'm talking about. Now that we've gotten past the two accusers that came on their own to police, okay, without investigators having to come and find them and ask them the very first question that you're going to see or hear Kim Davis ask to Sherri Ellis in this interview that you're about to hear. Okay, so this is pretty wild stuff. So, all right, folks. Hopefully we can all work together, bring communities together, and continue to grow the awareness of wrongful convictions. That's my whole goal here. As much as I care and love the families and have sympathy for everybody, as I say, including these ladies who I feel are the victims here, the victims of Rocky and Kim, the victims I mean, and they don't even know how diminished they are yet. They all think they're going to get paydays out of this, and maybe they will. I mean, it's maybe some of those things will maybe they'll start getting, you know, judgments in their favor before, you know, the courts iron out what the hell they've done to Daniel Holtzclaw. You know, I don't know, but all I know is that they well, when you see the account given today and you can see what the investigators were doing with to the, you know, to get these allegations to work for Daniel, you're going to see here what they do, and it's very interesting. I also want to keep in mind here that Sherri Ellis is one victim that at trial they did not ask her to point out Daniel in the courtroom. And you're going to understand why that is very quickly when you start to hear this interrogation with Sherri Ellis. You're going to understand why they didn't ask her that question very quickly. All right? So, all right, without further ado, let's get started.
Her relatives a message. The next day, Ellis called Detective Davis back. The following is a recording of that call.
Hello?
Is this Sherri?
Yes?
Sherri, this is Detective Davis.
Yes, ma'am?
Okay. You sound frantic in your messages.
Oh yeah, because I don't know what's going on.
It's okay. That's why I've been wanting to find you and just ask you something, okay?
Okay.
I have received a tip on I work in sex crimes, and I've been working some cases, and I received a tip that you may have been sexually assaulted by a police officer.
Yes, I have. But I didn't say anything because I know that I know police department and police, they all stick together.
Well.
Okay, so first thing I want to point out there before I get to the big thing is because it comes out of a lot in the allegations and the accusers in this, is their level of fear of the police. Okay? Even Janie Liggins, the original accuser, who actually didn't have a history of prostitution or drugs, but Daniel did clearly find some very potent prescription pills in her car, but she had no convictions and that sort of stuff. So, but she thought Daniel was she kept saying she thought Daniel was going to shoot her and all that stuff. And I mean, all that. I mean, the level of fear that these women are saying that they have, I think is interesting to just note. Now, moving on from that, did you guys hear that? Okay, I've already told you that in the last few videos I made, obviously, that's it. That's the end of the accusers who came forward all on their own and said that they had been, victimized, right? We obviously already know that in that situation, that with Janie Liggins, there were parts of her story that didn't ring true, and I showed some of that in my last video, where the fact that none of the dirt on Daniel's hood of his car had been disturbed if she had supposedly been patted down and had to put her hands on it. So there's things like that with her story that don't ring true, that don't, whereas everything from Daniel's does. And then we had Terry Morris, who began with describing one thing, and then eventually, because she was in lockup, she calls Rocky in, and suddenly the entire story changes, and she starts sounding like Brendan when Wiegert and Fassbender had broken him from his story, the story that he told with consistency, the truth, right? And she starts sounding like Brendan, and so she, even when she gets to trial, she's even changing the story still. At that point, she's still changing the story by the time she gets to trial. So, I mean, in the first story, she told with absolute consistency, so I think that's interesting to point out. So, here they are, going back into the past of women that Daniel has had contact with in his job as a police officer, and they're going to these women and asking what you just heard them ask. They're going to women who obviously have resentment and fear of law enforcement, and they are now being asked this question. All right? I think it's ridiculous. Of course they're going to be inclined to say something happened. They're going to, I mean, there's going to be an inclination for that. The going about this investigation in this way is ridiculous. So like I said, they have gotten together with Detective Musney as well. Musney is the one that has created this list, and Sherri's the first one on it. Okay? Now, you're going to see that there's many problems here. And I'm just going to go ahead and let it play a bit for you to see that.
We ain't sticking together on this one.
Oh, okay.
So I would like to interview you.
Okay, well, it happened to me like maybe, I'd say 3 months ago. I was walking down the street and I got stopped, and he run a check on me, and he found out that I had some city warrants, the tickets, and he asked me what did I feel like I needed to be done, and I told him, well, what did he mean?
Uh-huh.
He said, well, what do you think that needs to be done about the situation, Sherri? And I was like, what do you mean? What do I think? He said, well, what do you think? Because do you think you need to go to jail? I'm like, well, if I got tickets, are you going to take me to jail or are you not?
Uh-huh.
And next thing I know, hey, I have to go to the bathroom because this is like very, very scary. Yeah. And next thing I know, he pulled his penis out and put it into my face. And then after that, he put me back in the back of the police car, and he took me to the park over there off of Miramar, took me out and told me to pull my pants down.
Okay.
And then he said, I was free to go, and he let me walk off. Okay. I didn't ever get his badge number. I don't know anything. I was terrified. I just didn't know what was going on because he said, I'll do that. Or he was going to, I don't know. I didn't know whether if I still did it or is he going to take me to jail or what. He was a black man.
Okay, so I want to stop there real quick. We heard her say this in the phone call. You heard that. She said it was a black man, or a black officer. Okay? So that's just one thing. We're going to get more description of her attacker as she describes as we move on here. But that's number one. What you heard her say right there. So, all right, moving on.
Okay.
Okay, but I don't know his name or anything. Okay. But it happened to like maybe I'd say maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And I called a couple of people. I told my husband, and he told me to go to the hospital. Uh-huh. But I had sex with him too, and he said that if I had sex with him and him, it wouldn't have made no difference. It wouldn't have did any good or something.
Well,
he told me.
Tell me.
Okay, I just wanted to call attention to that as well, because that becomes important a little bit later on here when you find out that what she's saying about having sex with her husband and that his sperm would be there intermixed with that of the cop that raped her. You'll find out that that's not actually a true representation of the situation. And I think you'll find it interesting when you find out what the truth of the situation is, and there may be other explanations to this thing. Or, as I've said, there could have been a predatory cop in the Oklahoma City PD, but it wasn't Daniel. So that's what those are the thoughts I'm left with as I go through these allegations being made against Daniel. Because, well, clearly I don't feel like they're describing Daniel. To be perfectly honest.
I want to interview you in person. So,
okay, and he also that night when he picked me up, he also called in, and that's how he found out that I had city warrants. I don't have any county warrants. I have city warrants.
Did he do that on his radio or on the computer or?
Huh?
Did he call you in to check you for warrants on your radio?
Yeah, he called me.
Computer?
Yeah, he called me in to check for him on the police computer.
Computer, or did he say it on the radio?
He pulled it up on the computer. And then he called. Then he called in.
Called like on a telephone?
On his thing.
On his radio?
Yeah, and then they told him that I had. That's how he found out that I had warrants, city warrants.
Okay. What?
He was in a black and white police car.
Okay, so they've created their little list, okay, of the women that meet that profile of African American, prostitute, with drug convictions, right? And they're going out and finding all the women that met that profile that Daniel had contact with in the recent past, and started asking them if they had been raped. Okay, so remember, we've just finished up here covering the first two allegations, which were brought on their own without the police prompting. This is the first accuser who the police actually go and seek out with their self-fulfilling prophecy kind of approach, where they come in basically saying, we got a tip. Folks, that tip is that list that Detective Musney created. Okay, where he picked out women of a certain profile and found all the women that met that profile that Daniel had contact with. That's the tip that they talk about. There's no tip. They talk about a tip, and it isn't a tip. It's a bad investigational technique is what it is. Okay, why did I stop it here? Because, folks, she's just made the second descriptive statement about the cop that raped her. She said he was driving a black and white vehicle. Okay, folks, we've been over this in my first few videos. Daniel didn't drive a black and white vehicle. Daniel drove the all-black version. Okay? The take-home vehicle. Okay? That's what Daniel drove. So her saying it was a black and white, her saying that the officer was black, these are serious problems. Okay? And this is the first one they're going to after Janie Liggins and Terry Morris. This is the first one, Sherri Ellis, after that. And they're going out and they have an agenda. Unfortunately, it looks like Sherri Ellis may have actually been a victim of a, rogue cop there. Or there might possibly be one other explanation as well. So, here we go. We'll get to that eventually.
Did he, and just like I said, I don't want to go into depth here because I think it's rude that I talk to you about a sexual assault on the phone. I want to schedule a time to interview you. But what was the sexual assault?
Well, when he first pulled me over and he was asking me what we was going to do about this situation, I was looking down, and then when I looked up, he had pulled his penis out and had it in my, because I was sitting in the back of the police car and he was standing up over me, and he pulled his penis out and had it in my face.
Did he put it in your mouth?
Yes, he did. And then after I did that. He told me to get back. He told me I had to get back in the back of the police car, and he drove me into the. He drove me into the park right there off of Miramar and 16th and Miramar, that park, and went in the back of the behind this building and told me to get out and pull my pants down. And I bent over, and he had sex with me. He had sex, and then he told me I was free to go, and he let me walk off.
Okay.
And after that happened, I stopped walking at night. I mean, during the day, once it gets dark, I stopped walking because I didn't want to have to go back. I didn't want to have to see him no more because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't want that to happen to me no more, so I just stopped walking completely.
What was the name of the park?
Okay, I don't know the name of the park, but 16th and Miramar. Northeast 16th and Miramar.
Can you tell me, I lost my train of thought there. Where were you walking when he stopped you?
Okay, I was walking from my house. I used to stay on 16th and Terrace. I was walking off of Highland, and when I was walking, I went down 16th and Terrace until I hit Highland, and then I turned right going down Highland. Then I passed 16th Street and Highland, and then I went down just a little bit farther, and maybe a block and a half after that is when he pulled me.
So were you on Highland?
Yes, I was on.
Okay.
Yes, I was on Hyman.
What It's Friday. I'm off Monday. What are you doing Tuesday? Can I meet with you Tuesday?
Yes, you can. I'm going to school now. I'm going to school 5 days a week. As a matter of fact, I'm at school right now.
Where do you go to school?
OCI.
Okay.
I'm getting my GED.
Good for you.
And I've been going here for almost 3 weeks now. So I go from Monday through Friday from 8:15 to 2:45. So Tuesday I have lectures. So it's better for me to come on a Tuesday because all I'm doing is sitting there listening to this man talk. So that'll give me a break.
What do you want a break, or do you?
Yeah, I don't have enough lectures. I'm not going to miss any. I'm not going to miss too much on one day.
What about this? What about tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Saturday?
Yeah.
I got to go out of town tomorrow, Kingfisher.
What about Sunday?
Sunday, I don't think I have anything planned Sunday. I don't know, but Tuesday is fine with me. Tuesday is fine.
Okay, you tell me what time and where.
Okay, Tuesday. What time and where? Where you want me to meet you up at where you are?
Yeah, you want to just come to the station?
Yeah, I have my boyfriend bring me up there. What's the address?
It's the downtown station, across the street from the county jail.
Downtown station?
Yeah, the Oklahoma City Police Department headquarters.
Oh, okay, Oklahoma City Police Department.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where the county jail is?
Yes,
Do you know where the police department is, right across the street?
Yeah. I know somebody that knows somebody that knows where. Okay.
We're right across the street from the county jail, east, like on the corner of Colcord and Chartel.
Okay. Well, my boyfriend gets off at 3:30, and I'm gonna have him bring me up there.
So 4 o'clock, you think?
I'll say 4:30.
Tuesday at 4:30.
Yes. Am I going to be in any trouble?
Absolutely not.
Okay, because they said that. Okay. All right. I just kept it to myself.
No, and like I said, I got a tip, and I'm following up on it, and I completely understand where you know, everybody says no, cops stick up for themselves and stuff. No, we don't put up with this. It's wrong. Oh. It's wrong. It's more than wrong.
Okay, ma'am.
So
now I feel a little better because I was like, I ain't did nothing since I've been out the penitentiary. I've been on the straight and narrow road, and I've been paying my fines, and everything was going through my mind. I'm like,
no, you are not in trouble. He is.
You catching that, folks? Sherri, this young lady, has just given the description of a black man driving a black and white cop car, older style. These are two things that are absolutely do not fit with Daniel. Absolutely do not fit. But here she is at the end of that call with Sherri Ellis saying, "You're not in trouble, he is." And she means Daniel. That's who she means. And you'll see that's evident soon enough.
No, you are not in trouble. He is. And
okay.
I just want to meet you, and I want to do a full-blown interview. I mean, I'm going to ask you a ton of questions, like, okay, how did you take 10 steps, and then you just go into all the details of it.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
I will see you Tuesday at 4:30.
Okay, keep my number if something changes.
Oh yes, I got it. I got it in my phone.
Okay. Thanks, Sherri.
Bye-bye.
As promised, just a couple of days later, Ellis arrived at the Oklahoma City Police Department headquarters in downtown Oklahoma City. Ellis then met one-on-one with Detective Davis. The following is the audio from their meeting.
And if you need the restroom or something, tell me and we'll take a break. Just have a seat right there. All right. I'm glad you came in. Were you kind of nervous? I thought you would be. Okay. I'm just going to get some background information from you first, okay? And some of the questions I'm going to ask you, this is what I ask everybody. So I want background information from you, whether it's good, bad. I don't care if you assassinated the president and his dog. It doesn't matter to me.
I just am getting the same background I get from all my victims. Okay. So, but let me make sure. Is Sherri Sherry?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's Ellis, Ellis.
Yes.
Is your birthday 2/20/75?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where are you living right now?
I'm staying in a room.
Where at?
39th Expressway.
Like a hotel?
Yes.
How long have you been staying there?
I'm going on a month.
Okay. Okay. How do I get a hold of you in the future in case this goes to court? Do you have where do you get your mail? Like, do you have a mom's address or a dad's address, or that's a permanent location?
Not really. I can get my mail at my grandma's address, but I don't have her address on me, I don't think.
What's your grandma's name?
But really, I don't want her either. I was going over there to tell her today about what I had to do, and she's old. I really don't want her involved.
If this goes to court and we have to mail you a subpoena, where do you want it mailed?
You gotta ask him.
Okay.
You gotta ask
Okay.
him.
All right.
Because he got a mom that's been over there almost 20-some years over there where I used to stay on 16th and Terrace. So his mama stayed right around the corner, and she's been there for several years. So
and you could
yeah, it would be all right.
Okay. All right. Other than what happened to you, what we're going to talk about today, have you ever been the victim of a crime? Like, have you ever been assaulted? Have you ever been raped? Have you ever been molested as a child? Okay. Now, I know you've been arrested. What? Because you said that you recently got out of prison. What have you been arrested for?
I've been arrested for burglary too.
Okay.
That's what I went to the penitentiary for.
How much time did you do?
I had 3 years in and 2 years out.
Okay.
I spent 18 months and I got out.
Okay.
I had been in a predicament when I was in Spencer, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, but state didn't pick that up.
Okay. So it wasn't it wasn't filed.
No.
Okay.
But as far as that, I have been probably a couple, maybe 10, 15, 20 years. I don't even think it was that long, but it's been a long time. I got involved with prostitution once, which it really, I don't know why I got caught up in the prostitution, because I wasn't. But the police was doing a sting and they picked me up, and that was probably back in 2000, something like that. Okay. Maybe.
What about drugs?
No.
Have you used drugs before?
I used to use weed.
Okay. Any recent? What about crack?
No.
Okay. Are you working right now?
No, I'm going to school.
Oh, that's right. You're going to get your GED.
5 days a week.
Where do you go?
OCI.
What's that stand for?
You know where the feds take drug tests and stuff like that? Right behind that.
Good for
that
you.
building.
Good for you.
Yeah, I go 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, from 8:15 to 2:45.
Is it hard?
Not really, because I'm focused and ready to do it.
You're ready to get it done.
Yeah, because when I was in the penitentiary, I was trying to get my GED, but I had got out before I could get my GED. So.
Did they charge you? Does it cost?
$25.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay. Are you married? Single?
I'm single.
Have you ever been married?
No. Common law? By Terry Matt?
Do you have any kids?
Yes.
How many
I
kids?
have 3.
What are their ages?
20-year-old, 19-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
Do you have custody of the 7-year-old?
No.
Daddy has custody?
No, my cousin.
Okay. Did you lose custody when you went to
prison? That's when I was doing cocaine.
What kind of cocaine?
Crack.
I thought you said you didn't use crack.
No, I said I did coke. Well, I don't do it now.
But you have before.
And before, yeah. Okay. But I don't do it now, though. Okay. You know, going to penitentiary stopped a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
But when she was born, they took her because I had crack in my system.
Oh, she tested positive. Do you have any medical problems?
High blood pressure. I went to Red Rock.
What'd you get a Red Rock for?
I get medication for the severe depression.
What do you take for that?
Prozac. Take Juridon for calm me down.
Juridon, I haven't heard of that one.
Jurdon.
Do you have anxiety?
Yes.
Is that what the Juridon's for? Jurdon?
Something like that.
Okay. And Prozac.
And what else I take?
Do you take medicine for your high blood pressure?
Lisinopril.
What is it?
Lisinopril.
Any other medicines?
Zantac, but that's
just for
heartburn.
acid reflux.
That's all.
Okay. All right. When I talked to you on the phone, you told me that you thought this happened about 3 months ago.
About 3 months ago. This is
August 5th.
So about 3 months or 4 months ago, it would be like March, April.
When you tell me when you think this happened?
About 4 months ago.
About 4 months ago. Where were you in your life at that time? When did you get out of prison?
I got out of the penitentiary in July of last year.
Oh, okay. So you've been out. So when about 4 months ago this happened, where were you living then?
I was staying on 16th Terrace.
With who?
With Terry.
With Terry Mack?
Yes.
16th Terrace.
2258 Northeast 16th and Terrace.
2258 Northeast 16th Terrace.
Yeah.
Now, were you off on the dope and stuff then?
Yeah, I was off.
Okay. No, you were off dope then.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What time did you leave his house? Why were you out? You see what I'm saying? What were you doing that day?
It was before 12 o'clock.
Before midnight?
I had left my house. I was staying with Terry. I had left my house on my way to my cousin's house.
On foot or in a car?
I was on foot.
Who's your cousin?
My cousin, Dion. Her name is Dion Thomas, but she lives up the street. Where I was walking, when I was on my way, she stayed like maybe 4 blocks down.
Why were you going over there?
Because it's my cousin and my nieces, my nephews. I go over there all the time.
How do you spell Dion?
D-O-N.
Okay. But that's a female?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, when you go... kind of draw me a picture from which way you went and stuff when you were walking. It don't have to be perfect because I can not draw stick people. So.
This is my house.
Okay.
Miramar right here. Well, Miramar. My house right here, but I was going this way from Miramar, going all the way down 16th and Terrace.
Okay.
Okay, the next block the next major block you get to is right here. This is Highland.
Okay. Oh, you're lefty too.
Okay, I went across Highland. Right here is an intersection. That's 16th.
Okay, so you're going back north.
I'm still going down Highland.
Okay.
I crossed 16th, still going down Highland. There was a block. I passed the block. And then half a block after that is when I got stopped.
So this is 16th. Did you get to the next street?
Okay, hold on. This is Highland.
Uh-huh.
I went right here. This is 16th.
Okay.
I crossed 16th.
Okay.
Down, still going down Highland.
And before the...
Then there was another block. Okay.
Okay.
I passed 16th.
Okay.
Kept on going. There was a block.
Okay.
I passed that. Before I could get to the other block in the middle.
That's where you... Okay. Let me kind of... To Highland. Past 16th. Past next street. We don't know what it is. before the next street. Okay, what happened? How'd you know a police car was there?
Was walking, and when I turned around, he had come from behind me because I wasn't.
You didn't see him driving.
I wasn't paying attention to the back of me. I was just walking.
Okay.
So I'm walking, and then next thing I know, lights behind me.
Like car lights or
his
these
lights.
Just headlights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Behind me, and then he pulled up, and that's when I realized that it was police.
Because you turned around?
Because I turned around. Yeah, I turned around. That's when I found out it was a police.
Now, were his overhead lights on or anything? You just saw that it was a police car?
Yeah, because he pulled up behind me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what?
He asked me to stop. And,
was he in the car when he asked that, or was he out?
He pulled over and got out.
He got out?
And to ask me what was my name, and I told him, and he said, well, can you come back here with me? Come back here for a second, talk to him. So I was by the police car.
On the driver's side or the passenger side?
On his driver's side. And he asked me my name, like I said, and then I had my purse, and he asked me if I had anything illegal in my purse, and I said no, which I didn't. So he's like, well, will it be all right if I check you to see if you have anything illegal on you? And I'm like, no, but I wasn't thinking I don't think a man's supposed to do that, but anyway.
But did you say no? Or did you say no,
I don't have any. I said no, I don't care.
Oh, you said no. Okay. So you said no, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know if you were saying no, I don't care, or no, you can't check me.
No.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
And then he said turn around, and I had my arms out, and he checked me. And
were your hands on the car, or were you just standing like
I was standing like this?
Kind of like a scarecrow? Okay.
And
what did he do when he checked you?
He checked me, and then he checked me all like that. And
did he touch your boobs like that?
Yeah, and then he went between my legs and did that.
Did what?
Like that. Between my legs.
Just like that? So did he touch your vagina on the outside of your pants?
Hmm?
Did he touch your bottom on the outside of your pants?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said, have a seat. So, and that by the time he had opened the back of the police car door, and he told me to have a seat there. And I don't know. I think I gave him my ID because I had my ID. So he ran my ID.
Did he shut the door when you got in the car? Were you sitting in the back of the car with the door shut?
Hold on.
Okay. Just relax. If I go too fast, you tell me I'm going too fast.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, this next part you're going to hear is important. So you want to listen to her explain how things went inside the car when she talks about he was running her warrants and all that sort of stuff. So you want to listen to her in the way that she describes it right now and how she says that it basically went down. Because there's going to be some other data later to compare with.
He shut the door while I was in the back of the police car.
Okay.
He got back in the front seat.
Okay.
And he started typing in his computer my name.
Okay.
Then he radioed, and then I guess after a minute they called back and said that I had city warrants.
Okay.
But while I was in the back seat, I'm looking at him pulling my information and stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that I've ever did is going to be on that computer, so I see this. Okay? My prostitution charge was way back then.
Could you see that?
Yes, I see.
You saw where it said prostitute? Okay. I didn't know if you could see the computer.
Oh, yeah, in the back of the police car. But after a minute, they they hollered back at him and said, she has warrants, city warrants, woo, 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 for McAllister, which I have warrants, city warrants in McAllister for tickets. And he got out the car, opened the door where I was at, and he said, well, what do you think we need to do about this? And I said, what do you mean, what do we need to do about this? And he said, well, what do you think we need to do about this situation? What do you think we need to do? And I was like, what do you think? What do you mean? What do we need to do about it? Am I going to jail? Or am I not going to jail? Or are you taking me to jail? I mean, I don't know what you mean about what we going to do about this. So before I know it, he had pulled this thing out.
Did you even see him do that, or was it just there?
It was there.
It was just there. Okay. There's a problem with that. Okay? Because for Daniel to get his, penis out of his pants requires quite a bit of doing. And for her to say it just suddenly was there without her noticing anything at all, it was just suddenly there, once again, makes it unlikely that it's Daniel, and here's why. Obstacle number 1, Daniel's belt. Okay, that would have certainly been in the way. I would have needed to be getting out of the way, and you certainly would have taken time.
It's going to be big enough for you.
And then you have Daniel's pants, obviously.
I was going to get a tie back, so I don't know where it is.
This is where Rocky Gregory puts his hand all over the inside of an evidence bag. That's essentially an evidence bag. He puts his hand all over the inside of it right there. And that's the bag that Daniel's pants will be going into. So, astonishing forensic collection. Absolutely astonishing. Is this guy really a detective? Does he understand forensics at all?
Anything?
Will it be okay if I tell my family about this? And
No, you tell them.
okay.
It's your life, man. Look, we usually have to spend as much time anytime there's an allegation.
Okay, so here's points 2 and 3 here kind of now. Daniel is taking off his shoes, but what he's also having to do is he's also having to unbuckle the little straps that strap onto the top of his socks and strap onto the back of his shirt to keep his shirt tucked in. You'll see that when his pants come off. You heard the little Velcro as he undid his belt. So it's obviously a belt that uses some kind of Velcro because you could hear it. And clearly that's something that would have been heard by Sherri Ellis. And so all these things that it just suddenly came out and was there, it doesn't really fit because that's obviously the belt and the straps to his socks are 2 and 3. Now we're going to see 4, which is this bulletproof vest, which hangs down. It hangs down enough that it's under his belt. So all these things would be getting in the way if he was trying to expose himself. And like I say, it just doesn't seem like you can see the straps that would go down to his socks there at the bottom of his shirt. Anyway, it just doesn't seem like he would be able to get himself out that quickly. And especially not through those underpants he's wearing there, because I think those are compression pants, and I'm not sure those even have an opening in the front.
And it was just right. I'm sitting down in the back seat, and it's like right there.
Was it hard? Okay.
And he asked me. He told me this is what he want me to do.
What did he say? This is what I want you to do, or did he tell you what to do?
Yeah.
What were his words?
He said, "Put this in your mouth," or he's practically just said, "Here it is, put it in your mouth," or you know what I'm saying, here. Okay, and then I did that for 3, maybe 4 minutes or something.
Okay.
And then he said, "Get back, put your feet back in."
So were you turned sideways where your feet were on the street?
Yeah. And he said, "Get back in." and he closed the door, and he got in the police car and drove off and hit the corner.
Point on here for me.
Okay, this block right here there by that time.
Hang on. I'm catching up with you. Okay.
Okay. This where he got stopped. Right here. This is the block that I didn't get to.
Okay.
Okay. This block he went and drove. He hit this block, and then he went to the right. There's a park where the old school was. It's an old school over there. There's a park behind the school, and he drove over the curb.
He drove over the curb.
He drove over the curb going into the playground. It's a big old field, playground, big old field. It's a couple of buildings there. And he drove, and then he went around this other one building, and he parked, and he told me to get out and bend over.
Is that school still a school, or is it vacant?
That's a vacant school. That's off of Miramar. Yeah. Miramar and Highland, it's in between. He know what the school, because his mama stayed there. He probably went to school there.
Who, the guy that runs
He probably
down there?
know exactly
What's
what
his name? I forget.
Ed.
Okay. So he told you to get out.
He told me to get out.
Did he open the door
Yeah.
for you? Then what happened after you stood up?
He told me to pull my pants down.
Okay. What'd you say or do?
I didn't say nothing, man.
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Did you pull your pants down?
Yeah.
Okay, then what?
Then he had sex.
Well, what position are you in?
I'm bent over from the behind.
Were you still at the car, or
Yeah,
were you...
well, I was I bent over by the car. He opened the door, I got out, and I bent over.
Did he,
and facing
did
the car.
he tell you to bend over,
Yeah.
or how did he?
He told me to bend over.
So he said, pull your pants down
And bend over.
and bend over.
Yes. And I was facing a car.
Were any part of your body touching the car while you were bent over? I mean, were you kind of leaning on it, or no?
I
Or...
might have been leaning on it.
It's okay.
I tried to put this behind.
I know. I know. I don't have any. You want me to go get you some Kleenex? Some tissue? It sucks. I know, it's hard to talk about. Just take your time. If you want something to drink, tell me, I'll go get you something.
I think,
If you don't know, you don't know. And tell me, I don't remember. It's okay not to remember. It's okay. We're just going to put that. I didn't know if he, like, took you to the merry-go-round or the teeter-totter or, you know. Okay.
then,
Let me ask you some yucky questions. You said he did it. Did he put it in your vagina or your bottom?
he put it in my vagina.
What, did he have problems keeping it erect or anything? Did he wear a condom?
I don't even know.
Did he come?
I don't even know.
Okay. Did he say anything while he was having sex with you? He didn't say a word.
No.
How long do you think that lasted?
About 10 minutes.
What do you think made him stop?
I guess because he had enough.
Did he just stop? Okay. What happened after he stopped?
He said, have a nice night. And let me walk away.
He walked away or you did?
He said, have a nice night and let me walk.
Okay. Where'd you go?
I went back to the house.
Okay. And is that when you told Terry? What did he say?
he told me I should go and turn him in. And he said that since he did that to me, he probably has DNA and stuff on me, but I have been messing with him.
And you didn't want to tell Terry that?
Yeah, but I did. I told him. That's when hell broke loose, because I had to tell him that I had sex before that happened to me.
Okay, so folks, you remember earlier on the phone call, Sherri says that she had sex with her husband, and that her husband had said because of the mixture of his and the rapist cop's semen, that it would have been impossible to get a DNA profile, or a useful one, right? So that's what she said in the phone call. But what we find out here is the story's actually a little bit different than that. We find out that she had been, well, for my generation, and I don't know, anybody that knows Sublime would probably understand this term, but she was at Sancho's house, right? She was at Sancho's house. She was in another man's bed that was not Terry, her husband, obviously. And so that's what we find out there, that she's telling us now, is that that basically it wasn't her husband she had relations with, it was this boyfriend of hers that she had relations with. And so that's what's happening here. Now, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying it's interesting to point out that change from the phone call to here, because it's a significant change.
So, like I said, me and Terry...
Is that what caused y'all to break up?
Me and Terry had been through going through some things for a minute, but I like I said, had been with Terry before I got with him. I had been with Terry for almost a long time. Me and Terry has been together since I was 20 years old, so that's kind of hard for me now. I'm dealing with that situation. Me and him breaking up 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months now. I ain't been with Terry, but I still keep in contact with him. He's the one that gave me the number that you was looking for me and stuff, and asked and told me, what I'm saying, everything will be all right. Just, he figured it was going to be something. But yeah, I went and told Terry, and he said, well, it wouldn't be no good for you to go to the hospital having 2 DNAs in you, because you have to answer questions. And I said, well, okay. And then I thought about like this. It's the police. If I say something, I'll be harassed for the whole duration. I don't want to have to walk down the street. I don't have to every time I look around, somebody harass me over something because of what I did. Because I don't know nothing. I didn't know. I really didn't know what to do. Really, because it's the police. It's the first thing. This is the first thing that has ever happened to me like that. So it kind of messed me up a little bit. But
sure, because the police aren't supposed to do that. And then who do you tell the police? Who are they going to believe?
Well, like I said, what I'm saying is true, and if I have to, I take a lot of tests. I just
Sherri, I believe you. If I didn't believe you, I wouldn't have been calling you, trying to find you. Do you know anybody by the name of Terry Morris? Female.
See, the point about it is, I have a lot of associates. I really don't.
That you don't know that you know. That's okay. Off the top of your head. Do you know anybody by the name of Terry Morris?
I kind of, the name sound familiar, but
What about Janie Liggins?
I don't know them by name. That's
okay, that's fine. That's fine.
That's how I don't know how somebody would know my name.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Okay, Miss Ellis is about to go into a more detailed description of the cop who victimized her. So I want everybody to pay attention to this, because I want you to be asking yourself, is this person talking about Daniel Holtzclaw? Now, this is the question I want you to keep in mind right now as you listen to this next part.
Tell me your description of him.
He's black.
He's black male,
Muscular.
How tall, could you tell? You're pretty tall. How tall are you?
Maybe. Like that.
How tall are you?
5'11".
Is he taller than you or shorter than
Maybe
you?
like right here, maybe. Like that.
So you think he's shorter than you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this again points away from Daniel, because Daniel is very tall. He's over 6 foot tall. And as you heard, Sherri here is 5'11", she says, which is fairly tall for a lady, to be perfectly honest. But she clearly says that her attacker, the person who did this to her, was clearly shorter than she was. So that means that the attacker is under 5'11", which once again rules out Daniel. Okay, another part of this person's story that rules out Daniel. So here we go. Let's move on.
Did he have any facial hair? You can sit down. If you don't know, you don't know. Glasses?
Mm-mm.
No glasses?
Mm-mm.
And when you say he's muscular, how much would you like? Big muscular? Or?
Yeah, like work out. Like he wasn't fat, but like he worked out.
Okay. Did you see his penis? Did you pay attention? Like when it was right in your face?
Yeah, it's long.
Was it circumcised? Could you tell? It was?
Mm-hmm.
Could you see any pubic hair?
No, he unzipped it from his pants.
Okay.
He didn't take belts and all that off or nothing like that.
He didn't take his gun belt off or anything?
Mm-mm.
Did he threaten you in any way of if you tell?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yes.
What kind of car did he have?
A black and white one.
Black and white car?
Oklahoma City police car.
Again, this is a problem because Daniel drove the all-black take-home vehicle.
Have you seen him since then?
I try not to, ma'am. After that happened, after nightfall, I'm in the house. I don't walk around. I wasn't trying to see him anymore. I just took myself in after a certain time of the day. I go in the house.
Yeah.
If I don't have my stuff from the store by that time, I'm not trying to go to the store.
Because you're afraid he might find you again?
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know if it was going to happen. I don't want it to happen again. I didn't know. Because he had to be patrolling the east side like that for him to just be like that. Because I don't know. I don't know. I just stopped walking at nighttime. I don't know.
Would you recognize him if you saw him again? Like if I laid out 6 pictures, could you pick him out?
Probably not.
Okay, interesting side note. Not only did they never show her an array of pictures, but they never ever asked her to point out her attacker in court. And the reason why is because when they asked her in pretrial, she couldn't point to Daniel. Hey, look. Interesting side notes.
Did you ever look at his name tag?
Oh, I didn't look at anything.
How come? I mean, and I'm not questioning, I'm trying to figure out what's going through your mind.
I don't know. I just didn't.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's what everybody else asked me. Wow.
It's okay. It's okay.
Because I like I said, I tried to put this in the back of my mind because I didn't believe it. I didn't say nothing, and I just thought it would go away.
And then I called you.
Yes.
Did you have any idea when you found out I was looking for you?
At first, no. And then Terry said it was something dealing with sexual, and I said, well, that's the only thing it could be. Somebody done said something, said something about my name or something like that, because I know I didn't say nothing. So that's the only thing, because I pay my fines. So I won't go back to the penitentiary. And my tickets, I still ain't took care of them.
I'm not worried about those.
Okay, but I still ain't took care of them.
That's fine.
But until I get to where I can get in a motel room paying $200 every week is kind of killing me right now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to school, and I have to struggle for that $200. So the fines right now, when I was supposed to went to court, I was in the penitentiary. So if they do
are they Oklahoma City fines or the McAllister fines?
They Oklahoma City fine. I got Oklahoma City fines.
Okay.
But if I do go to jail, I was in the penitentiary. So
they went to warrant because you weren't in court.
Yeah, but I was in the penitentiary.
Right.
So how could I go to court if I was in the penitentiary? So that'll help me out a little bit, and then I can get a payment plan. Maybe I can go from there with the fines. But as far as the county, I don't have no felony warrants or nothing like that. I've been doing real good as far as that.
Okay. Well, let me tell you this. I want to get a DNA sample from you today. And the reason I want to get a DNA sample is because I know what officer did this to you.
Now, this is the point where you might be thinking, oh, does she maybe have an idea of another officer there at OKC PD that actually fits the description that Sherri Ellis is giving? It would be reasonable to think that. It would be reasonable to think that. But reasonable and reality, as it turns out, are two completely different things, as you're about to see.
Okay. And there is some unknown female DNA on his pants that I took. And I want to see if it's yours.
This happened 4 months ago. To me.
I know, but you never know. He might be nasty and not wash his clothes. You know?
Okay.
One of the things I think is interesting there is that Sherri Ellis herself is pointing out, what happened to me happened like 4 months ago. She's like basically pointing out how ridiculous that would be. And we know whose pants that Kim Davis is talking about. The investigator Kim Davis is talking about. That's Daniel Holtzclaw's pants that you saw getting collected in the earlier clip in this video. Okay? So you can see that even though Sherri Ellis's description of her attacker, it absolutely does not fit Daniel Holtzclaw. You can see Kim Davis rolling forward anyway. And this is the first of the accusers that they cultivate with their list. Their list that leads them to people who they then tell they have a tip. They have no tip. They have a list of people that they profiled. There's no tip involved, and so that's another point to point out. But just wanted to point that out. And then, you obviously see that Kim Davis is convinced that it's Daniel, despite the description given. Also, I find the bit about where Kim Davis says, you never know, he could have been nasty, he could have just been nasty, or whatever. I find that to be particularly disingenuous because, number one, she makes that statement, but remember, they didn't bother to go and collect the dirty uniforms that Daniel said he had at home. The underwear that he said was at home. He said it was in the washer, but I never heard him say that it had actually been washed. I think Rocky Gregory made that assumption. But the fact is, they never made an attempt to go and collect anything to see if there was any forensic evidence on any of his other, uniforms. And if he's a serial rapist, there's a fair chance you might find something on one of those uniforms incriminating. So why didn't they go and get those things? You got to ask yourself. So her making this claim right here, you never know, he could have been nasty. It's just, this is like a child making an argument. It's what it strikes me like. you know. But anyways, all right. So moving on.
Do you have a problem with that? Okay. This is a waiver saying that you are going to let me, Kim Davis, and I'm a detective, and this is where we're located, are going to let me take buccal swabs. It's just Q-tips on the inside of your mouth to get a DNA sample so I can compare it to the DNA on his pants. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Sign right here. You got good handwriting. Especially for a lefty, usually we're kind of sloppy. I'm going to do 2 on one side and then 2 on the other side, okay?
I was asking my friend, I was like, all this is coming down. Am I going to do it? Should I be scared to move around and have to worry about him getting something happening to me? And
Sherri, he's not in a police car anymore. Okay? He's not working anymore. You can walk down the street, he's not out there. Okay?
And that is why I say the victims in this case were not only potentially victimized by another rogue cop that wasn't Daniel, but they were also victimized by Rocky Gregory and Kim Davis. What she's telling Sherri Ellis right there, no, he's not a cop anymore, he's not on the street and all that. She's talking about Daniel Holtzclaw. Daniel Holtzclaw does not fit the description that was given by Sherri Ellis. So when I hear Kim Davis saying that, yeah, that's shocking. That's absolutely shocking, because she knows the description Sherri gave does not fit Daniel, but they're going to shoehorn Daniel in anyway. It's truly sad and it's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. I really wonder how these two live with themselves, to be perfectly honest. So
they said after this is all over, I'll have closure. I sure hope so.
Who said that?
My friends.
I'll talk to you a little bit about that.
Tell them to get it off my chest. And
I actually feel terrible for Sherri here, because I don't know that true closure, I don't know if that's even going to ever be possible for her at this point. After the pig's ear that Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory have made of this, I don't know if that's even going to be ever possible. The way that they've done this and the way that they've conducted this, you got to realize all this was them using Sherri Ellis and using her accusation, even though her description didn't match Daniel, just using the accusation alone to pile on and to vilify Daniel Holtzclaw as quickly as possible. That's what they were doing. It wasn't about justice. It was about vilifying Daniel in the public eye as quickly as possible, and it didn't matter that the description didn't match Daniel. And that's a problem. That is a huge, huge problem. And honestly, when it's all said and done, these two should face criminal charges, along with Musney. Yeah, that guy too. All three of them should face charges. But, they probably won't because of SCOTUS's qualified immunity, but that's another subject for another video. So anyways, moving on.
I'm going to give you my card. I'm going to offer you free counseling if you want it. And I'll do whatever I can to help you get closure. Okay?
No, she won't.
Do you have any questions? I'm going to go, the lieutenant that brought you up here, let me go talk to him real quick and make sure that he doesn't have any more questions.
okay,
for me
well,
to ask
I'm going to
you.
ask you a question.
Okay.
like I said, I've been having a rough time right now.
Because of this, or just
Just because
financially, or
yes.
Okay.
So I've been paying my fine every month, but this month I'm gonna be a little late. Do you think they're gonna issue a warrant for my arrest?
on which fine? On the traffic tickets?
My fines that I have to pay, that I've been paying $50 every.
Court fines or whatever, or is it
After I went to the penitentiary.
restitution? Do you know what your fines are for?
I have to pay $50 every month. I'm on probation. After I got out
Okay.
of the penitentiary, I've been paying $50 ever since I got out in July. I've been paying $50. This is the first month.
Who's your probation officer?
I'll have a probation
Okay.
officer.
Is it through Oklahoma County?
Yeah.
Let me, tomorrow, because they're closed, I will call and find out what we can do.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe if I could just come up with like maybe $20 or something.
I'll call and find out what we can do.
Okay, just let me know, and I'll try to come up with it. But I'm late because I usually send it off on the 3rd. This is the 5th.
Okay.
And I don't want. I'm worried about that right now because I have to figure out if I got to go to my grandma or my mama, my auntie or somebody. Somebody got to help me because right now.
Okay. I'll get an answer for you. Would you be willing to drive me to the area where I want to know where he pulled his car?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Stay here for just a minute.
You want to go right now?
Mm-hmm. But
Okay.
hang out. I'll make sure nobody else has any questions.
Okay. Just make sure. I just have to let my friend follow us because
That's
like
fine.
I say, he stay right around the corner.
Okay. Hang on just a second. I'm gonna leave the door open so you kind of don't get claustrophobic.
Okay.
At this point, Detective Davis steps out of the room for approximately 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
One more question. When you described him as a black male, what, and I don't know, everybody's like, are you? Are you a medium color? What's your skin tone to you?
I'm light.
You're like, okay, what was he?
He's darker.
He's darker than you? Darker than your skin tone? Okay.
Yet they still say it's Daniel.
So you're comfortable, because I know you're a nervous wreck. What if you go with Ed and we follow you to, didn't you say he lives right around the corner? And then we'll follow you there, then you get in our car, show us where the officer picked you up, and then show us at the school, and then we'll drop you back off at Ed's.
Okay.
You comfortable doing that? Are y'all parked right in front of the building?
On the side right there.
Okay. Let me get you with Ed.
Okay.
And let me get our stuff so we don't.
That's my support
lost.
group. That's my support right there.
Turn right. I think he's over here. No, he's not. He went to the break room.
Immediately following this meeting, Detectives Davis and Gregory took Sherri Ellis in their car to retrace Ellis and Holtzclaw's route. According to police records, Detective Gregory took 35 photos during this time. That said, much like when Terry Morris was also taken to point out alleged crime scene locations, neither detectives bothered to audio record what must have been in-depth conversations about their allegations. A few days later, the investigators received copies of Daniel Holtzclaw's patrol car AVL and radio dispatch history from his May 7, 2014 encounter with Ellis. And like Ellis's description of her attacker, a quote, short black man, unquote, Holtzclaw's AVL reveals problems with Ellis's allegations that detectives are apparently far too eager to dismiss. I've posted copies of the police reports from this episode, Sherri Ellis's telephone conversation with Detective Davis, her audio and video recorded in-person meeting with Davis, and a copy of the photos taken at this episode's homepage at holtzclawtrial.com. In the next episode, I will be discussing additional information received by investigators, courtroom testimony, and my take on what may have actually taken place during the early morning hours of May 7th, 2014.
Alrighty, folks, that's going to wrap up part 1 of the Sherri Ellis allegations against Daniel Holtzclaw. I hope you guys, were able to get a lot of interesting takeaways from this. It's like I say, they already had some issues with the original 2 accusers, and what they're doing here is absolutely just shameful. The attacker that is being described by Sherri Ellis is clearly not Daniel Holtzclaw. And yet, these investigators don't care. They just don't care. It's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. So be looking forward to part 2, where we kind of get a little bit more in depth into some of the stuff surrounding the Sherri Ellis allegations, and get a better idea of what was going on, that day. So, all right. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.